Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Standing Room Only podcast. As always, I'm here with Healy, myself, Goose. This is episode number 12, which means week 12, which means almost 3 months of doing this. It's been a fun ride so far. So I want to thank everybody for tuning back in, and everybody that's new to the podcast, welcome. If you guys aren't already following us on social media, we are on Instagram and Twitter, SR Only Pod. We, again, always like to stay interactive. I like to stress that every single week. I feel like we got a lot of interaction this past week, especially today with the fan voting for the playoffs. Thank you for that. Again, we are on YouTube and Spotify as well at the Standing Room Only podcast. And, of course, for our personal social media accounts, you can find me on Instagram at iGoose. That's with 4 O's. Don't ask why.
And you can find myself, Healy, at the Healy6 on Instagram and Twitter.
Today is a special episode for multiple reasons. The main reason here, it's our boy Healy. It's his birthday. Well, was his birthday yesterday. Want to tell everybody, wish him a happy birthday. It's your birthday week.
Yeah,
we're gonna do it
24.
big.
Kobe
24.
year.
That's crazy. Is it your? Oh, you already passed your golden years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That
Still.
was a long time ago.
Yeah. It's all right though. We had a lot going on with the NFL, the playoffs, but before we do that, we're back to baseball.
Oh,
More
man.
drama.
There's a lot of baseball news. Well, not a lot, but important.
Very
this
important.
This is a part in history that will be remembered for the end of time.
This is as big as the steroid era. I mean, this is as big, I would say, cheating. It's cheating, and
it's kind of like the Black Sox way back in the day.
Yeah, that's way before my time, a couple of years, but
yeah, Houston and the Red Sox both got caught. Houston got fined. So yesterday, Rob Manfred put out like a statement, and the Houston Astros, their GM and their manager both got suspended for 1 year. They got fined $5 million, which is the most that any team can be fined.
Yep,
so
that's
they got
the
fined
max.
the maximum.
Yep.
And then they lost their first and second round picks for 2020 and 2021.
We hit this on the head a few weeks ago. We said there should be a fine.
I think we called the year.
The 1 year, because it's hard to tell who did what, minus one person in this situation, which is probably the shadiest of them all. But then a loss of draft picks. We definitely touch base on that as well. Was it the right move to fire these guys? Absolutely.
Yeah.
What are you going to do without a guy for a whole year, or a manager and a GM? And then, of course, Alex Cora in the Red Sox, he got fired, and he's kind of on both scandals.
Yeah, well, he's like the head.
He's the head.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Which he was a part of the 2017 scandal, and then the rules got put in place. He cheated against the new rules, and the Red Sox ended up winning the World Series, and he got fired. I think he will potentially get banned from baseball for life.
I think that is the fair move for them to make, considering we've seen players get banned before, aka Pete Rose, for gambling. This is, I would say, easily as bad, if not worse. I mean, personally, I think it's way worse. He won 2 different championships with 2 different teams. There's no way he doesn't, or at least a multi-year ban, but I would say a lifelong ban should be handed down for him.
And even if he doesn't get a full ban, you'll never see him manage another team again.
Oh yeah, there's no way. He's blacklisted, blackballed, whatever you want to call it. Is he a mad genius? Are they going to take the World Series away from him? No.
There's no point in ever stripping a World Series. It already happened. Yeah, you could put an asterisk if you want, I guess. But it happened. Nothing you can change. What are you going to do? Just vacate it? This isn't the NCAA.
Exactly. They're not going to vacate it. And the thing is, with technology moving at a fast rate that it did around that time, I feel like he was the one who did it and got caught. Like, it was going to happen. It was bound to happen. I mean, it's technology. Nobody really explored the waves for that, and he did. Unfortunately, I'm not backing him up at all. I just feel like it was bound to happen. He's the one who did it, and definitely, lifelong ban, and I'll be okay with that.
In the statement from AJ Hinch, he said that he knew nothing about what was happening, which is kind of funny. There was an interview that happened in 2017 where people were suspecting them of cheating, and he's like, "There's nothing. You guys are stupid if you think so." There's just no way he didn't know.
There's no way. How do you not, are you not involved with the organization, with the club at all? I do believe that there's players who may not have known, but the coaches, GM, again, if they did or didn't, somebody's got to take the heat. And I personally don't think that he just didn't know. I don't think anybody in this situation didn't know. Alex Cora, obviously, going from one team to another, there had to be some sort of talk. It's weird that it came out now. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't that long. I mean, 2 years, right?
Yeah, and you have to get all the evidence and prove it.
Yeah, there's an investigation, and finally it came out. And I mean, this is definitely leading the top stories for the offseason so far, on top of all the big signings that has happened.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely one of the best off seasons that we've had, as bad as that sounds. But yeah,
most memorable. AJ Hinch, I don't think will ever get a job again. Alex Cora, definitely not. The one who I do think could get a job is Jeff Lupo. I think that was his name. It's like Luphow, the GM that got fired as well. Because I don't know how much he knew about it, and he's a great GM. There's no doubt about that.
He built a great team. I mean,
that's the only reason.
There's a couple good signings that they had too, right? So, Jeff, it's Lunau?
Yeah.
Whatever his last name is. I feel like he probably has the highest chance of getting another gig in the MLB after the 1-year suspension.
And the least involvement with this whole situation.
Exactly. For his position, he's in the office. Maybe he doesn't know what's going on. Maybe he does, but I feel like it's less likely for him to be as involved in this as the other guys who are getting caught.
As a manager who you see them every single day.
Exactly.
What do you think about none of the players being suspended?
I think I said this. I was like, how do you suspend a player? Suspending a coach, a GM, whoever it may be, yes, I can see that. But a player is hard to really pinpoint unless somebody straight up comes out and is like, no, I have evidence. I have text evidence. I have, written documents, whatever it may be. Or the guy is just an honest man and is like, look, I cheated too because, that's what people do. Not really. But I feel like that's the only way. So,
and I have like a feeling that even if some people were like, okay, I'm 100% doing this. Other people might have been skeptical and you aren't going to be like, no, don't do this at all. No, thank you. Don't give me any signs.
Turn their head.
They'll turn their head to it. And also there was a report, some people didn't want it, but they still did it. I think Jose Altuve was one who didn't want it, but the garbage can still got hit. And what are you going to do? Just be like,
ignore it.
I'm going to act like this isn't a changeup coming and whiff over it.
Exactly. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Jose Altuve because he's an incredible player, but he is involved technically. I mean, there were at-bats where the can was getting hit. Did he know? Did he not know? We don't know. I feel like he did.
Mm-hmm. Carlos Beltran also will not get punished at all because he was a player at the time. Now he's a manager. At least that's what's thinking. That's
what they're saying right now. I doubt he's gonna get a punishment.
He was horrible. Anyways,
it's like he was
that
good.
year.
Yeah,
he wasn't great.
He played way past his prime. So
also with Jose Altuve, he won the MVP that year. They aren't gonna strip him of that. Players involved, like I said, I don't think anything should be done with them.
Yeah, it's hard to. I mean, you can't suspend everybody.
Mm-mm.
You still have a franchise that has to play ball. I think the league handled it as best as they could with the suspension, the fine, removal of the draft picks. The draft picks, does it hurt the franchise? I mean, it could. There's definitely guys out there, young talent, who can come up in the draft and, be the next Barry Bonds or whoever.
Yeah, the draft has like 30-ish rounds or something, so maybe
not.
Like, first round's definitely important. So, like, even though not everyone comes up in the first round, you have a very high chance of that happening. Something I think it was a fair punishment. Like, people are like, it's not enough. They should have done more. Well, for the future, when people want to sign with Houston, are you going to? That franchise is going to be tainted for the next 10 or so years before people like give up on it a little bit. Also, people might not realize with this core, and especially guys who are on that 2017 team, when their contracts are up and their team control's up, I could see them leaving.
Oh yeah, they're going to pack their bags and they're going to be gone.
And then put that behind them.
I mean, it could affect teams because, I mean, a lot of guys would sign with the Astros because of the winning culture, right? They get caught. So, I mean, what else could they do? As a player, if I get offered a max contract to go to Houston, there's still some talent. I mean, it's going to be hard.
At least in the near future.
Yeah, exactly. In the near future, it's one of those things. The coaches had to receive most of this punishment simply because they have order. They have control in their position. And, I mean, the players, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. They still have some good talent on their team. Who knows? Maybe they come out and are still a contender and they win the World Series and shuts everybody up. Maybe my White Sox don't have it this year. Maybe the Red Sox aren't good again and the Yankees are, Garrett Cole doesn't live up to his contract. Who knows? We don't know. But definitely shocking and fair punishment. So,
speaking of baseball, Josh Donaldson signed 4 years, $92 million today with a 5th-year option that could get it up to $100 million. So that's the big thing he was looking for in this whole, and why it took him so long to sign. He was getting 4-year offers, but he really wanted that 5th-year option. He got it. And it's only $8 million, so he's 34. He'll be 39 at that point. $8 million shouldn't be a lot of money.
No, I don't think that's going to be I don't know if that was really a big factor, but the fact that he joined a contender in the Twins, a team that probably is hitting top, the most home run. I'm not going to say the most. Maybe the Yankees are going to be up there, but Twins are definitely up there. Mm-hmm. He hit 30. How many home runs? He had 37 home runs this past year?
He hit a lot. He's going to play third. Miguel Sano is going to move to first base now.
That's a good move.
So you have Sano, Donaldson, Nelson Cruz, all hitting homers.
Yeah.
And Eddie Rosario and Max Kepler.
I think I saw a tweet earlier, now that he joined.
Mitch Garver.
Yeah, they have guys, I think it's like 6 or 7 guys on the team hitting 30-plus home runs. That's unheard of. And their pitching was not bad. Their pitching was not bad at all. They were, to me, the biggest surprise of this past season. And now that they added Josh Donaldson, yeah, he's 34. Did he kind of go on a little stretch where he seemed washed? Yeah, but this year he definitely revitalized his career.
Especially after the injury.
Oh, exactly. Especially after the injury. He earned this contract, and it was a great move for him to sign with Minnesota. The pieces will move, they'll adjust, but they'll make it work out. And that's why I'm saying with the White Sox, we don't know exactly what's going to happen in the AL Central, but I definitely like the way things are heating up right now, and it's only January.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, was there any more news in baseball? I think that was pretty much it. At least important news. I think the biggest thing we wanted to touch base on was
the suspensions.
The suspensions, yeah, the cheating scandal. But I think we can safely transition over to the NFL, unless there was something else we were missing there.
I think we covered everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and transition over to the NFL. What a wild weekend of playoffs, the divisional round. We saw some upsets. We saw an upset.
This weekend wasn't as good as wild card weekend, but it was still pretty good.
It was good. So if you look at the scoreboard, I think the one game I want to touch base. We can go in order. So there was Minnesota and San Francisco. I thought Minnesota would put up a better fight.
I thought they would too. We talked about it. I'm like, 7 points? That seems a little high.
Right, exactly. Granted, San Francisco was home. Minnesota started off high. They had a huge bomb to Stephon Diggs for a touchdown in the first quarter. And then from that point, they took a shit. It was 3 points the whole rest of the game. And San Francisco's defense just locked down Dalvin Cook. They were getting in to Cousins. They were in his face quite a bit. And their offense just moved the ball pretty well. I mean, they put up 27 points, which I would say is pretty damn good because Minnesota's defense kind of was starting to step it up a bit, especially, in the wild card round. They ended up with their upset victory. They came into San Francisco. San Francisco themselves rushed for over 160 yards, which that's their formula. If they run the ball well, one, you're managing the clock, and your defense is probably going to get more than enough stops. So we saw that. Was it a surprise San Francisco won?
No.
Not really.
Mainly just the blowout.
Yeah, the fact that it was, 17 points, but I expected more from Minnesota. The following game was the biggest surprise for me. I thought Baltimore was going all the way. Tennessee upsetting the Baltimore Ravens, upsetting Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, the team I thought was unbeatable. I thought they were gonna win the whole thing.
That was the fact that they put up 12 points when normally they can put up.
They only put up 12?
It was 12-28.
I thought they scored it. They must have got close at the end. I think Tennessee held them.
Yeah. There was a 2-point conversion that got missed with 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. This Tennessee team is scary. There's something about wildcard teams historically that come into the playoffs hungrier than the other higher-seeded teams. Giants have done it. Giants did it twice. Packers did it in, 2010. Tennessee's offense, I don't want to get too big on their offense because their offense isn't doing much. Derrick Henry is.
Yeah.
As I said last week.
Derrick Henry's their whole offense.
As you said, Derrick Henry can go for 200, 30 carries. If you give him the ball 30 times and you play the 4 yards per carry average game.
And you score.
And your defense comes out, and they can shut down Lamar Jackson. Can they do it against Pat Mahomes?
I think Tennessee's run game was just a lot better. Like, defense against the run was a lot better against the Ravens. The Ravens had 8 drops, which was huge.
A lot of drops.
The pick early on in the game, that was a momentum shifter.
Drop pass.
There's 8 passes that easily could have changed the game.
Hands down. I think
it was a lot closer than the score says.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot. It was a very dominating performance because of the scoreboard and simply because, Derrick Henry was running the ball extremely well. Now, he did get 30 carries, and I think I said this last week. He does this thing where he has 3 huge runs that make up a bulk of his yards and really drive up his average per yard carry. And we saw that. I think I counted. He had a 66-yard run, and he had 3 other 20-yard runs. So in 4 carries, he was at 120 yards already. And then another 25 carries for whatever it was, 70 yards. But it's the runs that matter. Late in the game, he had the 66-yard run.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. He's like a bully. He's like an 8th grader playing football, pickup football with the 3rd graders.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for the any new listeners, last episode, we pretty much called the amount of rushing yards that would happen in the game. I said it over under 400. The total ended up being 402. I was pretty close with that. Goose talked about Derrick Henry. Got it almost spot on. If you guys want to see that, I posted it on the Twitter and Instagram, SR Only Pod.
Check it out. He had the stat line on there. I actually had to re-listen to that because I was wondering, what did I actually say about Derrick Henry? Because I'm a firm believer, any game, any given Sunday, he's going to put up 200 yards on 30 carries. And that's literally what he did, and that's what he's been doing for the past, I don't know how many games now.
He's the only running back in NFL history to run for 180-plus yards in 3 straight games.
Yeah.
In, regular season and postseason. And the fact that he's done it twice in the postseason already, nuts.
And it's crazy, too.
Did Tannehill throw for less than 100 again?
He did. Back-to-back games. Last game against the Patriots, 72 yards. This game, 88 yards. 7 of 14. 7 of 14. And this is the game Tennessee loves to play. Time management. I think if we look, I'm curious to know what the actual time difference was. But Tennessee is very good at managing the clock. They did it against New England. Keep the ball out of the MVP's hand. And how do you do that? You establish a run game. You let Tannehill pass the ball only 14 times. And I know Tannehill's stats don't show it, but he definitely is a huge upgrade from Marcus Mariota. Mariota was not making plays happen. Not saying Tannehill was, but he was forcing a lot of bad turnover. His arm just wasn't there. He's had shoulder problems. But ultimately, it came down to how do you slow down Lamar Jackson, which, I mean, dude had over 500 yards of total offense just about. It was just a couple of those drops killed them.
Yeah, and the turnovers, like the turnover that resulted from the drop, too. The time of possession, 32 minutes, Baltimore, 27 for Tennessee.
That's it. Only 27 minutes.
So they didn't even have it for the majority.
Wow.
They just were efficient. Also, I saw a tweet. It said, red zone touchdown to field goal ratio ever since Ryan Tannehill took over in week 7. The Titans have 31 touchdowns and 1 field goal in the red zone.
That's since which
since
week?
Week 7.
That's crazy.
And I can't remember when they signed their latest kicker. He has not attempted a field goal since being signed because that's how efficient they've been. They've only kicked 1 field goal.
Tennessee is not a 9-17. I don't care that their record says 9-7. Their division wasn't that tough. To start the year, it was tough because the Colts were playing really damn well.
Tannehill went 7-3 as a starter for Tennessee.
That's all they needed. They needed a change at quarterback.
So they were 2-4
I believe,
with Mariota?
Yeah. Yep.
Ooh.
And I feel like last year they had a pretty good run, and Mariota was definitely flawed as far as their winning. But yeah, so now they go on the road. Well, they're on the road the whole playoffs.
Yeah.
They're staying on the road.
We'll talk about the other 2 games first before going into the...
Yeah. Kansas City beats Houston.
Yeah. That was an insane game.
You texted me. I wasn't even watching the first quarter. I was at the grocery store picking up beer and everything else, getting ready for this Packers game.
You were axe throwing, too.
I was axe throwing. I'm adventurous, spontaneous, But anyways, yeah, and you text me and you're like, holy shit, the game's over. I was like, what? The game just started. And you were like, it's 21-0. Or no, first you said it was 14-0.
Within like 7 minutes of the game, it was 14-0.
I thought it was over.
It got to 24-0, and you're just like, okay.
I thought Houston's defense would be able to at least manage.
And Deshaun Watson would be able to score.
Yeah. And then out of nowhere, 28 and then 41. What was it, 41 unanswered points?
Something like that. Within 10 minutes of game time in the second quarter, it went from 24-0 to 28-24. There was a couple fumbles. There was like a fumble on a kick return, which ended up resulting in a touchdown. I think there was a pick or something. There was a couple turnovers, and they executed on both of them.
Yeah, there was definitely. I remember the kickoff where the Chiefs player picked it up and didn't know what to do. It looked like he thought the play would be whistled dead, but people are just yelling at him to run. They're like, "Run, you big dummy, run!" And then I don't know. Was there another turnover in that?
The Texans fake punted on 4th down.
Oh.
On like their own 40 or something.
Bad move. Horrible move. If you're going to go for it, go for it.
They're up 24-0, I think, at that. And then Pat Mahomes destroyed them.
Nobody talked about Pat Mahomes this year.
No, because he did it last year, and everyone's like, okay. It's like when Russell Westbrook won the MVP, averaging a triple-double. And then he did it again, and he wasn't even in the conversation.
Not even in the conversation because
we were used to it.
Pat Mahomes, I'm just saying right now, and we all know Lamar Jackson's going to win MVP. Lamar Jackson, we mentioned, is young. Pat Mahomes is young. But I think at the end of the day, in a big game, Pat Mahomes is probably the better quarterback.
He has that air raid offense and good wide receiver. Also ones that can just outrun anyone.
They're so fast. They're so fast. They got rid of Kareem Hunt, obviously, because of his issues off the field. Did not slow them down at all. And Pat Mahomes, 5 touchdowns, didn't get sacked one time. Not one sack. I think that's the tail of the tape for all these matchups. Is how many times is your quarterback getting hit? I mean, if your quarterback doesn't get sacked, which, I mean, how can you sack him when they have such a fast offense? He's fast himself. That's definitely a huge deciding factor because Deshaun Watson on the other end got sacked 4 times by this Chiefs defense. And I mean, I'm not going to say the Chiefs defense is bad, but they're not that great. But that was pretty interesting to see. Pat Mahomes led the team in rushing, 53 yards. He threw for 300 yards, 321 yards. So he's over close to 400. 5 passing touchdowns. And, I mean, besides the first quarter, this was a dominating game by the Chiefs.
Yeah, they ended up winning like 51-31 or something.
Yeah, 20-point win with a 10-point spread. The over-under for the whole game was 50.5 points. The Chiefs
beat it themselves,
yeah.
I wonder what the line was when they went down 24-0.
Can you imagine throwing like $1,000 on that?
You would come out with like...
I feel like it would have to be no less than like 100,000. Something crazy.
Yeah, 24-0 in a playoff game. It's what do you think's worse though? 28-3 or this 24-0? I think the 28-3 because of how big of a game it was and the time span. I think it was 28-3 at halftime. It was 24-0 with like 10 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Definitely 28-3. Hands down. I mean, it's a 25-point game versus the 24, but you make it a 4-score game. You can get 3 touchdown and 2-point conversions, put you at 24. Now you have that extra point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was definitely huge. And then, Kansas City just shut them down the whole second, third, and fourth quarter. I mean, They held them to 10 points from the first quarter. That was it. So that was a very good defensive game for the Chiefs, which didn't seem like it was a good defensive game to begin with.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had the other game.
The Packers, Seahawks.
The Green Bay Packers.
Which it ended up getting close towards the end.
I think I almost suffered 3 major heart attacks at the end of the game. Especially when Jimmy Graham got the first down.
What was funny is like on the TV, the yellow line looked like it was so far off. But I think in like replays and stuff from the TV, it wasn't in line with the actual.
I don't think it was actually in line. It was one of those calls where they can't overturn it. There's not enough evidence, which I think the refs owed Green Bay because of that early fumble that they had forced on Seattle, and they ruled him down. And then when it got challenged, which I don't know about you, I thought he for sure fumbled.
I thought it was 2.
But they said not, I think the issue was there was no clear evidence that Green Bay recovered.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, they should have ruled it a fumble to begin with, played it out because then it gets reviewed automatically.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. And
like I said, I think whatever they called originally would have been the call that stood. So I think if they originally called it a fumble,
it would have
left.
Yeah, hands down. I think they should have just let it play out. Regardless, this was becoming a repeat in my mind, in my emotional system, when Green Bay was in Seattle about 5 years ago. They had a huge lead. Seattle came back. They kicked the onside kick in the fourth quarter. Our whoever it was it Bostic? I don't even remember who it was.
Yeah,
it was Bostic, the tight end.
And Chris Matthews got.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the blocker and let it bounce to Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson is clearly trying to recover it, and this guy is just like, whoa, I see the football, let me catch it. Which, in that situation, it's kind of hard to judge because it's a bang play. But that's what it was reminding me of. And you watched the game with me. you threw me on social media. I was nervous. I was jumping around when Jimmy Graham got that first down because I literally had a knot in my stomach. Just lost so many games in the playoffs that we should have won, but it was a big win overall. Now we have the final two matchups.
Yeah, before
AFC, NFC showdown for the Super Bowl. We have predictions. We put a poll out on Twitter, Instagram. I have my predictions. You have your predictions. Healy, let me hear your predictions.
I think AFC Championship game. I think this is where the Titans' run comes to an end. Pat Mahomes and that offense, they just execute so well. We talked about last week, the Ravens, they're so good. But, like, it was running against running. You can't compete running with a quarterback that can throw for 5. It's just not going to happen. I don't think Tennessee's defense against the pass is as good as it is against the run. And the wide receivers aren't going to drop 8 passes this week.
Yeah, Travis Kelce, I would not be surprised if he goes for 9-10 catches, 160 yards, probably 2 touchdowns. He's a big tight end. He moves like a receiver, and he's quick. He's quick, and he has hands. I mean, we've seen it for the past few years. He's very dominant. Mm-hmm. I think in that game, I'm going to go with Kansas City. If I'm not mistaken, the spread was 7.5 for Kansas City. The home field advantage, Pat Mahomes. Personally, I think the Chiefs last year were the Super Bowl team. They screwed that game up. Patriots won. Obviously, we saw the offsides call. This year, I think Tennessee's a great team, but I just don't see them doing it again. Even with Derrick Henry running for 150 yards, Tannehill's got to be a better quarterback.
We have seen Tennessee beat Kansas City, though.
We did.
You remember that?
We did.
They got like a touchdown with like a minute to go, and they were battling. So like the people listening and are probably rooting for the Titans are like, what the heck? We beat them 35-32 like 5 weeks ago. What are you guys talking about? I think the playoffs just a different breed, and Mahomes, they'll click.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Titans fans. It's just you guys are their underdog, and
I think the biggest factor in that game, and I mean you pointed it out, Tennessee did win. Tennessee was home in that game.
Oh, Tennessee
was home. Derrick Henry did have his 180 yards, which that's my expectation of him in this game. He might get a couple catches here and there, dump offs. As a screen for a running back, he's not the best option. Only because he's not that fast for a running back. He's fast, but he's gonna get his yards. But Tannehill, 13 of 19 in that game for 181 yards. It doesn't seem like much, but compared to what he's been doing in the playoffs for them to win, if he can come out and move the ball, and he has. He has some good receivers. He has A.J. Brown, Tajay Sharp. Khalif Raymond is a very good deep threat, as we've seen throughout the season. Is it going to be a close game? I think so. I think the Chiefs will win by. They're going to take the spread. They're going to win by 10.
Yeah.
They're going to win by 10. They're at home. The thing with the Chiefs, Andy
they have a bad
Reid,
defense, run defense, which is why they got.
Exactly. And Andy Reid, it
playoffs.
has to happen. He has got to get back to the Super Bowl. Actually, I don't even think has he been in the Super Bowl with the Eagles?
Eagles with T.O.
T.O.
I think that was him.
That's it. But I don't think he's ever won a Super Bowl as a head coach. So this is the game. He's got the quarterback to do it. Pat Mahomes, give him 400 yards in the air. They're not going to slow down.
They were so close last year too.
That's what I was saying. They were the Super Bowl team last year.
Yeah.
It would have been I think the matchup would have been completely different in the Super Bowl. It would have been a more fun experience as a fan watching the Super Bowl because you're going Rams, Chiefs, and we saw what they did in the regular season last year. That's what I wanted to see. Unfortunately, they made a horrible mistake. D Ford was offsides, which I don't even think he's on the Chiefs this year. So we'll see. It's all going to come down to that run game and how do you contain Mahomes. And even then.
And also, like with the Titans, Arrowhead is probably, I think it's the loudest stadium that's not like indoors. Like Seattle technically isn't indoors, but if you look at their stadium, there's so much like overhang and
the
like
way it's
the sound will get trapped in there.
Yeah, the sound echoes inside the building. And the Saints, but they're in a dome.
Yeah.
So outdoor teams, definitely Arrowhead. A good friend of mine, coworker or ex-coworker now, he texted me this story on how Tennessee is gonna have an X number of fans who already purchased tickets, and so they're expected. I have it right here. The number of fans that Tennessee is gonna have. They're saying it's going to be 25% of Arrowhead Stadium.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Think if it's if it was 100,000 fans, which obviously it's way under that, but if it was 100,000, you're talking 25,000 fans, right? So for that to be the situation, maybe that can mess up Mahomes and their offense a little bit.
Maybe, yeah, definitely could play a factor.
But ultimately, I'm with you. Chiefs, for me, by 10. Do you think they'll cover the spread?
I think so.
I think so too. And obviously, the Sunday night game, Green Bay traveling to San Francisco once again against the 49ers, who are also favored by 7.5. Does Aaron Rodgers get it done?
I don't think so. Like, you might have other plans, especially being a Packers fan. Seeing them play, seeing the Packers go up against Seattle, and Seattle put up a great fight. They were the only team to beat and like put up two good fights against the 49ers. They maybe should have beat them both times. The 49ers kicked Minnesota's ass, and I just don't think. I think the offense with their running and like Jimmy Garoppolo being a good game manager and the defense just being so much better compared to Green Bay's, I think that's what plays a factor. Also, like watching the Green Bay game this past weekend, Aaron Rodgers, I don't know his exact stats, but like he wasn't like on top of his game. The offense wasn't clicking too much from what it seemed.
Aaron Rodgers this season, past couple of seasons, he's been questionable as far as, all right, he's not dominating every single game. He's not going out and throwing 6 touchdowns in a half like he did against the Bears, right? A few years back. The thing about Rodgers is he's a very great fourth quarter quarterback, especially in tight games. In the game against Seattle, there was a couple throws that he made where only big
first down at the end.
Huge first down at the end, which that line was collapsing on him. That was a huge throw. I don't think he wanted to go to Jimmy Graham, but he made a perfect throw. As I was saying, there was one to Devontae Adams that was over the shoulder, where Devontae Adams had to stretch out, but it was perfect where he had to stretch out too. Aaron Rodgers statistically has declined, but still manages to make the right plays and the right passes. With that being said, Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers, when they did lose to the Seahawks, which was a very close game.
Yeah, they threw it away in the first half.
They did.
Or
Jimmy Garoppolo was sacked 5 times. The Packers' defense had 5 sacks on Russell Wilson. Not saying that one is better than the other, but Russell Wilson is great at evading the pocket. Always has been. Garoppolo, being the younger quarterback, I feel like has a higher chance of making that late game mistake over Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Hence why I'm going to go with Green Bay with the upset. I don't know if they're going to upset them by much. There's no way. I think it could end up just being a field goal. It could be a 5-point game. They won't. Maybe a touchdown. It's not going to be a touchdown, I don't think. It's going to be a closer game than that. If Aaron Rodgers can manage to get protection. In the last game, he got no protection. he passed the ball okay. He had like a 62% completion rating, which wasn't bad. But it's going to come down to the Packers getting important turnovers. And in order to do that, they're going to have to slow down the run and get to Garoppolo. If that run game's on for the 49ers, it's going to be hard to get to Garoppolo because they're going to be second-guessing every call that they have on defense. But I think Green Bay, being as seasoned as they are with Aaron Rodgers being behind center, can pull off this game. Tennessee against the Chiefs is a little bit different. I think realistically Green Bay could win. I would at least go against the spread.
Yeah.
If I was betting.
Yeah, we can see that.
So it'll be interesting to see. And plus Aaron Jones. I didn't even mention him. We don't know what he's going to do because that 49ers defense, I mean,
their front four is so good. Nick Bosa will probably put Aaron Rodgers, but like 3 or 4
I'm
times.
expecting Rodgers to be rushed out of the pocket multiple times. He's going to get hit a few times. He's going to get sacked 2 to 3 times. It's just a matter of how do you beat a good San Francisco team that's really good on defense? I feel like it has to be a game of chess, and you have to play the field position game at this point. If it's 3rd and long, work your way towards maybe a 4th and 5. Let your punter do some work. Special teams is going to play a huge factor. I am a Packers fan, and my Packers hat is on, and I am saying Green Bay is going to win, but I'm trying to speak as factual as possible and say they do have a chance. And that's who I'm going with for the upset for the week. Let's get them to Miami. Make me a happy camper.
I'll probably be joining you for the game this week. So
we definitely got to watch it. It'd be interesting to see who's gonna go off where. Again, 49ers do have weapons.
They have weapons everywhere, and they have like Richard Sherman as he's elite again.
Oh yeah,
he's unstoppable,
and he's got a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got a purpose. He's on another great defense, and he's the leader of the defense next to Bosa and a few other talented players that they have. So we'll see. Green Bay beat Minnesota. Green Bay beat Seattle. So maybe momentum plays a role. We'll see.
Yeah, anything could happen in these 2 games.
I do have on Twitter. So we posted our poll. Who's gonna win? So there was one listener here. His name's Matt. I asked simply, who do you have for the AFC? Who do you have for the NFC? So his response for the AFC was, how do you win in the playoffs? Defense and run the football. He's predicting an upset with Tennessee over the Chiefs, and his biggest factor is the Tennessee Titans have a very good running game. They have a very good defensive game, and the fact that Andy Reid is 1-7 in conference championship games.
Oh, no.
Yeah, 1-7. That was a brief reminder because I didn't realize how bad Andy Reid is in conference championship games. And then in the NFC, he was straightforward. He said he sees the San Francisco front 7 causing problems for Green Bay and their offensive line. And he's saying San Francisco's going to control the game, but only win by 4, which is I would say that's a very good prediction. That's a bold prediction.
Yeah. I don't know if you talked about the results on Twitter. We got 177 votes for the AFC Championship game, and it was 56% Chiefs, 44% Titans. So that's pretty good. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
The other game, Packers and 49ers, 173 votes, 65% 49ers, 35% Packers. So that one is like a clear, people think 49ers are going to win. The AFC, though, 56-44. That's pretty close.
It's because of what the Titans, I mean, that's momentum's key. Momentum's key, and they've been winning on the road, so they didn't need home field advantage, and their schemes work. So I think that's a very fair voting poll, I guess we can call it. I think Packers should have a little bit higher percentage. Again, I have my fan hat on, but yeah, that's pretty much it for the NFL.
Well, Luke Kuechly retired.
Oh, Luke Kuechly did retire. That's right. He played 8 seasons.
Yeah, he wasn't even like 29 yet, which is kind of sad to see. Him and Patrick Willis both retired before 30. We've seen Calvin Johnson retire before 30. Kuechly was on pace to become one of the best linebackers of all time. He was on pace to make the Hall of Fame. Now, I I could see a slight chance, but he just didn't play long.
He still could very well end up being could he be in the Hall of Fame? I think so. 8 years, I don't know. It's, you know what, do you blame these guys in the NFL for retiring early with CTE? No. And I mean, Luke Kuechly has had 3 reported concussions. Who knows what they're not reporting? I mean, we heard before Tom Brady's wife said, no, Tom Brady has had 4 concussions that were never reported, or 3, or whatever it may have been. So it raises eyebrows. And I mean, 8 years in the NFL.
That's a lot. He got paid. He got a massive contract.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many years he has left on it. I would assume he would still get a decent chunk of that, like Andrew Luck.
Yeah, he'll get a chunk of it. And I think with that Panthers team, too, they're going to be falling into, I would say, a rebuild phase at some point.
They have a new coach.
Yeah, they do have a new coach, which
they just signed him.
Yeah, they just signed him. They got rid of Ron Rivera. New coaches could revitalize the team. Cam Newton definitely has had a lot of injuries. We don't know. And then
I think he'll be on the trade block, or his contract might be up soon.
Yeah, something like that. And then Kyle Allen, too, the backup, wasn't that bad, but I don't know if he is it. And so, I mean, it's like, how many more years did Kuechly really plan on playing? And if you know your team's not going to win, and
your health.
Yeah, exactly. Your health is important. I mean, your head is important. You always hear unfortunate stories from players who have, done bad things or whatever, questionable things, and they have CTE.
Yeah, we're somewhat seeing that with Antonio Brown right now.
Yeah, Antonio Brown is
he's a whole different case.
He's a character.
I don't know if you know, out of the 10 searched Google terms last year, Antonio Brown was number 6
in all of searches.
Yeah. 3 other, I think there was 4 total people on there, or 5 total. 1 committed a crime, I believe, and then the other 3 were dead, or people that died. So Antonio Brown being the only normal, we'll put that in quotations, on there, he's caused so much controversy. I don't know if it's because of CTE, but something seems to be going on.
I don't know. Is it that, or is he an evil genius?
Yeah, because he's getting searches.
He's getting searches. He's dropping an album. He's gonna fight Jake Paul or Logan Paul, one of these guys.
Yeah, one of those. But
and I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. We had a friend of yours just retired from the NFL.
Yeah, Kyle Long retired at the age of 31. Just turned 31. He played 7 years for the Bears, 3 Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
1 year was a different position. He might be the only offensive line to make the Pro Bowl at 2 different positions ever. He was a second-team All-Pro 1 year. Very, very good out of college. He only played 7 career college games. He didn't even start the season.
Where did he go? He went to Oregon?
Yeah, he went to Oregon. Started the season benched, and then he got the starting role. Played through the national championship with Mariota. I think they went to the national championship that year.
Yeah, I believe they did
too. And then he got drafted first round. And the Bears are like, you know what, we'll go with Kyle Long. He ended up being a great pick. It's unfortunate the past few years he's had injuries, and health just ended up being the main reason. Also, he wanted to be a Bear for life. He probably could have played a couple more years bouncing from team to team, maybe being a backup. Told me a couple years ago, if I'm not a Bear, I'm not playing. That time finally came. He did have 1 more year, I think, in his contract, but it was more of an option, and they were going to cut him regardless. It wasn't worth the money that they were paying him. So, yeah, he is now retired. Now, during the summer on my softball team, he can be the cleanup spot again.
There you go. How tall is he? 6'4"?
He's 6'6", 6'7".
So he makes you look small. You make me look small on camera every week. I have to struggle with this. I have little man syndrome. But I can't imagine him making you look that small. But if he's 6'6", 6'7", you're 6'4".
Yeah, he's a beast. And when he plays on the team, I bat third, he bats fourth.
That's awesome. But yeah, so that's pretty much, yeah. So we had a couple key retirements. Kyle Long, awesome player. With the Chicago Bears. I watched him a lot, obviously just living in Chicago.
He was one of the most liked guys on the team. He played at such a bad time in Bears history too. And a lot of people knew him. Offensive line, you don't normally know who they are. They don't speak a lot. But Kyle was like the main guy who would go to the podium and speak for like the offense. Jay Cutler didn't. So it was Kyle. Kyle took over that role. He was the leader in the bad times when they won like 5 games in a year. And it's unfortunate that he couldn't have played during this good window that the Bears currently have with like their team makeup.
Right, exactly. Without Jay Cutler, Trubisky, we don't know what's going to happen.
Their defense wasn't great that time either.
No, not as good as they are now. They had like a small window where they were just like, they were bad. They were bad. But yeah, good luck to everything for Kyle Long, for Luke Kuechly, and
we'll probably see some more the next couple weeks. Antonio Gates retired too.
Antonio Gates did retire.
Yeah, I forgot about him. He's been like,
he didn't play. I don't think he played a down this past season.
I think he was on the Chargers still, but like, and same with last year. He wasn't like,
he played a little bit here and there. He's just, I'm not gonna say he's washed up, but he's aged. He's what, 35 years old, and
I think 37.
37 even. Okay, so even that, for his age at tight end, he played a lot longer than most tight ends do. Great player in his career. I think he had like 117
39
total touchdowns. 39 years old.
Yeah. In the past couple of years, he just I completely forgot. I saw it today or yesterday, but like, you haven't heard his name in a couple of years. He played all 16 games this year. Started he didn't play a game this year. He played 16 last year. Only started 1.
Yep.
Had 45 targets, 28 receptions. The year before that, he only started 4 games. So he hasn't really played a full season since like 20.
Yeah, I think he was just there filling the spot, collecting his money, and the Chargers were like, look, you're legendary, you're a Hall of Fame player. Take it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the NFL. So we got the playoffs wrapped up, some retirements.
The NCAA championship.
The NCAA championship. That was I didn't watch. I watched like clips of the game. I didn't watch the whole game.
I watched a bit here and there. I watched somewhat of the beginning, and then I saw some of the highlights. I'm not too big of a NCAA guy. I wanted to watch because of Joe Burrow, but like I didn't really get around to it. It ended up being LSU won. Joe Burrow, beast.
Dominated.
Clemson came out strong. I think they got the first score. They looked great. They forced LSU to punt the ball a couple times. And then LSU got their number, and they just dominated. Joe Burrow, I cannot wait to see him play in the NFL.
Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in
NCAA history.
Yeah, history.
And also, that LSU team is one of the best teams in college history as well. The top 4 teams in the preseason poll, LSU beat all of them.
Yeah.
The top 8 now, they beat 5 of the top 8 that finished the season.
I wasn't surprised by this score. And we talked about it not last week, but the week before, when it was, I think, established that the 2 teams, right? And Clemson was kind of like the questionable team going into it. They had a loss already. And then
Clemson didn't lose.
I'm sorry, Clemson didn't lose, but LSU had like a tougher schedule, but they dominated so many teams.
Yeah.
And the teams that Clemson dominated were like not so hot.
They were just
they
iffy.
played like Mississippi and some other random teams. But LSU, I'm not surprised by this score. It was a 17-point game, which is not as high as it could have been for college. We've seen some big blowouts. But Joe Burrow, 463 yards, 5 touchdowns. He ran for like 60 yards and had a rushing touchdown. That kicked the ball.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He's going to go to the Bengals. Maybe he pulls an Eli Manning or John Elway and is like, I'm not playing for you. Don't draft me.
Is he going to the NFL this year?
Yeah, this was his final year. He transferred from Ohio State as a grad transfer, and then he got the starting job, and he beasted it up.
Dominated.
Ohio State's like, oh, maybe we should have started him.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you saw after the game, there were some athletes there. The pros. Odell Beckham was partying it up, and he was doing the money dab with some people. He was
giving cash to people.
Cash to players.
But it was people who were going to the NFL or they were done. So like they couldn't get in trouble.
Exactly. So I know the NCAA is pulling their hair out for that, but that's a class act right there for Odell. I think that was kind of funny. And then we did see Zeke was at the game too. I feel like he was there.
He played for Ohio State.
Yeah, he played for Ohio State, but so maybe he was like there to support Joe Burrow. I guess maybe, I don't know, but I mean, I wish I watched the whole game instead of some highlights and a little bit of the game. But again, not surprised by the final score. Joe Burrow is going to have some fun in the NFL.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
He's looking promising.
Yeah.
He's the number one quarterback by like a long shot.
Yeah, but that's the thing with college, though. How many NFL quarterbacks come out and...
This guy looks pro ready.
Yeah.
The offense that he was in looked good. A lot of these guys, like Jalen Hurts, people are like, oh, he's going to be sick. No, he played in an offense designed to pass the ball, and he played in a conference that they just chuck it up a bunch, and that's why his stats are so good. It depends on what, I think Trubisky played in a pro-style offense, which is why he was NFL ready and why the Bears drafted. Joe Burrow, I think, played in like a similar offense, so I don't expect him to be terrible, but I don't know how for sure he'll be. I won't be like, oh, he'll be Mahomes.
Well, if he goes to the Bengals, I can tell you right now, he's a huge upgrade from what they have. So maybe they win a few more games. And the Bengals have, I mean, they have like Joe Mixon and, some other talented Tyler Boyd, who isn't bad, and Tyler Eifert, who's been kind of declining as tight end. But they have some small amounts of weapons that maybe he can work with. Win 5 or 6 games. We'll see. But yeah, that was an interesting game. We're missing anything else for football? I think it's on.
No, I think we got it.
Yeah, we have the NBA. I just wanted to touch base on the updated All-Star voting count. In the East, we do have Giannis still leading the way. He's almost tripling the next man up for votes. So he's at 3.2 million votes, which is awesome. He's dominating again. Joel Embiid's up there. Taco Fall's number 6 in the front court for East.
Still number 6. He was 6 last time.
Yeah, Andre Drummond is at 10, which Andre Drummond I think is having a pretty damn good year. A lot of 2020 games. I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in rebounding. On the guard side for the East, Trae Young's leading the East. Kyrie's number 2. Kyrie's always going to be up there simply because he's Kyrie. He's a household name.
He played with LeBron. He's known for that champion. He's known on that championship team.
Exactly. Derrick Rose is up there, number 4. I personally think he could be lowered a little bit. Zach LaVine should be bumped up there. Zach LaVine's balling out. I'm not saying I regret saying anything bad about Zach LaVine for the Bulls. I didn't think that he would be the future for the Bulls. But the way he's playing this year, and he showed signs last year, but the way he stepped it up this year, he's playing out of his mind right now. He's been getting shout outs from like Dwayne Wade and other big time, NBA stars. And he, just put up another 40-point game the other day against the Pacers. I personally think Zach LaVine, maybe not starting on the East, but definitely should get voted in into the All-Star game, especially in Chicago. It's going to be, his hometown as far as where he plays. Chicago would love to see him there, and hopefully he ends up being in the dunk contest as well. And then, of course, in the Western Conference, we have LeBron leading the front court with Anthony Davis, followed by Kawhi, Paul George. I think that's fair. Carmelo Anthony's number 8 in voting. Carmelo Anthony's good. This man is definitely revitalizing his career.
Yeah, definitely Ron. I'll admit that.
Yeah, he quieted you a little bit, quieted myself. I mean, I didn't think he was only going to play 10 or 15, 20 games. But he's playing a lot better, and he's looking like the Carmelo of old a little bit. So I'm glad to see him on that list. I think that's fair. And then, of course, with the guards, Luka Doncic leading the guards, as he should, followed by James Harden, Dame, Steph Curry's number 4. I'm going to go ahead and call bullshit. Russell Westbrook's right there, and then Alex Caruso, number 6. Again, I'm going to call bullshit again.
He moved up 2 spots.
He did. I love Alex Caruso. This dude can ball. For a no-namer, I think him playing behind LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Well, just LA in general.
It's drawing more energy for him and drawing out his max potential. Does he have a good future? I think it's bright. People thought Matthew Dellavedova had a bright future because he played with LeBron and he was a grinder. But I think Alex Caruso, the way he's balling out, is definitely more talented than what a supporting cast LeBron has had for, I guess we can call a no-namer.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Devin Mitchell, Devin Booker's in the mix. D'Angelo Russell's in there as well. But that's pretty much it with the All-Star voting. With the NBA, there's not a whole lot going on.
Shea Alexander, he has 2 last.
Yeah, he's 21 years old, just had a triple-double, a 20-rebound triple-double.
Shea Gilgeous?
I think it's, Gilgeous
Alexander. Yeah, he had a 20-point, 20-rebound triple-double, which Russell Westbrook was the last person to do that. And they might be the only 2 guards that have had 20-rebound triple-doubles, or it might be the first in a long time.
Probably in a long time. I don't know of any other guards who have really... I mean, if you think about...
we know Oscar Robertson, but I don't know his career high in rebounds for a triple-double.
Right, exactly. And I mean, Oscar Robertson was a big dude. I mean, he was a 6'5". I don't even know if he actually technically... Okay, he played guard. So
yeah.
Robertson, but that was how long ago, But nowadays, too, triple-doubles are more common again. But even then, it's not easy to do, especially for somebody that's 21 years old who isn't the biggest guy on the court, and to get 20 boards. And I think he definitely has a bright future in the NBA. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's going to stay put where he's at, over in OKC. It's not really the franchise where guys thrive. Yeah. I mean, maybe he'll do good. He might go somewhere else. It all depends. We don't really know what's going to happen. They do have Chris Paul, who eventually his contract's going to expire. Maybe they bring in somebody. Who knows? But it's nice to see that they do have a young star there. The fans deserve it. Let's get them back to Seattle, where they actually deserve a professional team.
It'd be nice to see if they expand there someday.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It'll be a while, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Especially right now, I don't even know if they're sells out the stadium like they would if they had Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, or one or the other. So we'll see there.
Luka, I saw a stat about him having 30-point triple doubles. He's already had 20 plus in his career.
Yeah,
which is wild. Luka seems to be a walking triple double every single night, and he scores 30 points every single time he does it.
On the season, he's averaging 29.1 points per game, 47% from the field goal. 3-point percentage is about just under 33%, which isn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
9.7 boards, 9 assists. If you told me that stat line before the season, I'd probably bet against you. Even though he showed last year. He balled out. He's talented.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that he's only 20 years old, and he's technically, based on his age, he's still supposed to only be developing.
Yeah.
So he's only getting better. He's in a very good system.
He can't drink yet either.
He can't even drink. I can't wait till he can drink. I hope I run into, maybe from
February 28th.
Oh, this year.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I'll see him at the All-Star game. But yeah, so I think Luke is definitely, I don't want to say definitely the MVP of the league so far, because James Harden has been playing out of his mind as well.
And LeBron.
Well,
Giannis. We talked about the PR.
Yeah, Giannis is, he's a whole nother animal. Depending on where the Mavericks finish, I think is where he'll fall in the MVP voting.
They're currently 6th right now, 8.5 games back of first. They're 3.5 back of the 2 seed right now.
Yeah, and Giannis, his stats are crazy. He's only 25 years old, 6'11", playing like a guard, averaging 30 points on the dot, 12.8 rebounds a game, almost 6 assists a game, 55% from the field. It's hard to top that. Milwaukee being as good as they are, I could see him winning it again, back to back. I just hate seeing that. And then James Harden being so as good as he is, while he has Russell Westbrook, who I don't want to say he's going to get snubbed. It's not a snub, but he very well could win MVP. shooting 45% from the field, averaging almost 40 points a game. It's like he never slowed down, and they're winning. But we still have some time for the MVP vote.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to get into that. We still have the All-Star game. We're still going to have the trade deadline, which I'm excited to see because there are some rumors. It should
start kicking up soon.
Probably in a couple of weeks. I would say we'll start hearing the rumors.
February.
Yeah, second week of February. Trade deadline falls after the All-Star game, if I'm not mistaken. It's usually like the Thursday after, which will be towards the end of February. Sure, there will be a lot of hype and not a lot of moves, but we'll see. Again, with the NBA, there's not really a whole lot going on, not yet. We still have a couple more weeks before things start spicing up. We still have the Lakers are good, the Clippers are good,
the Bucks are good. Bucks are up 7 games over the 2 seed, and then the Lakers are up 5 games over the 2 seed.
Yeah.
So they're starting to take over. They're both still competing for like the best record in the NBA. The Bucks have 1 less loss, 3 more wins, so they're currently up 2 games, I think.
Yeah. I know we touched base on it previously. Miami Heat.
They're number 3.
They're playing out of their mind. I don't know if you saw the game or the tweets or the Instagram post by Jimmy Butler. He got into it with TJ Warren, almost fought on the court, and he basically dogged him. He said, "You can't guard me." Marked on the calendar their next matchup. Is Jimmy Butler that good that he can talk that smack?
The Heat are. Jimmy Butler's good.
I think Jimmy Butler's really good.
I think his stat line in that game, he didn't like put up great numbers.
He was efficient. I think his shooting was well over 50%. He distributed the ball. I'm sure his plus minus was through the roof. I just think it's funny TJ Warren kind of was talking smack. TJ Warren has been one of those players where he'll be a cheap buy in FanDuel. He'll put up maybe some good numbers for you, maybe not. But he was trash talking, and then the next game he goes and he plays Chicago and was guarding Zach LaVine on quite a few plays, and Zach LaVine burned him a couple of times. LaVine puts up 41, 42 points, which probably didn't help TJ Warren's case at all for any trash talking. Sit down, know your role. Jimmy buckets. I mean, he doesn't even have to score on that team, but he's very efficient of a player, and I think he's well deserved to be able to talk trash that he's been talking.
Definitely.
But I think that's gonna be it.
Yeah.
So we touch base on everything.
We are on iTunes,
yes,
or Apple Podcasts. We forgot to mention that at the beginning.
Wow, I'm not used to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, for Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. Like, follow, subscribe, download, share with your friends. If you know anybody who's into sports and you guys think we're touching on some good topics, share it. Share it. We appreciate all the love. Be interactive. But we got a lot of interaction, like I said, this week more than probably most. We'll continue to put polls out there. We want to hear everybody's insight as far as what we talk about, what we could talk about on the following podcasts. Upload generally Tuesday night. And then,
Wednesday midnight Eastern.
Yeah, Wednesday midnight Eastern. YouTube is usually midday on Wednesday. But yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Happy birthday, Healy. If everybody can go on, wish him a happy birthday.
Thank you.
And then we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, peace.